OFX 201.
Venus.
Boiling lava, in brackets boiling porridge.
OFX 310.
They were the sounds of the future.
They're running. NPL 19, take 1, wind tunnel start.
They were the sounds of the 60s.
Run, Gene. Effects 4, dialing tone.
They were exciting sounds.
Vulcan flyover.
They were mundane sounds.
Effects number 6, telephone cradle being jumped up and down.
But they all served a common function. They were the sounds that made imaginary worlds real ones.
Excellent. Excellent. It is working even better than I dared hope it would.
Some were brought in from existing libraries, some were recorded by AP Films' sister company, Sound Effects, and others by company Holick and Taylor, who had also built the Supermarionation lip-sync system that made our heroes talk. 2 weeks ago, we announced we'd been tipped off by fellow Thunderbirds enthusiast Ashley Sowerby about what might be a couple of surviving sound effects tapes. We investigated and were able to acquire 15 in total. The only problem was the labelling indicated that these sounds of the 60s had been overwritten by sounds of the 70s.
Great dancing material. New entry for George McRae at number 15 with Rock Your Baby, while the scaffold dropped from 11 to... number 14.
So close, but possibly so far. However, when we ran the first tapes, we discovered a possibility we hadn't considered. That the tapes had been recorded over, but that the original sound effects recordings had also survived. Not just at the end of the tapes, where no music had been recorded, but across the entire length, leaving this cacophony behind. After discussions with various professionals who were equally intrigued, it seemed likely that this is what had happened. The original sound effects were recorded full track in the early 60s. That's to say the recording took up the entire width of the tape. These had been recorded at 15 inches per second for better sound quality. However, in the 1970s, someone had reused the tape to record artists such as Gilbert O'Sullivan, Don McLean, Nana Missouri, etc., plus a load of Tom Brown's Radio 1 show, incorrectly labelled on the boxes as Top of the Pops. These were recorded at 3 3/4 inches to maximise the tape running time, which came at the expense of the quality. They were also recorded on a quarter-track machine, which, as the name suggests, broke the tape into 4 tracks. And by either design or fortune, only 2 of those 4 tracks had been recorded onto, leaving the other 2 intact. And that is where these sound effects now survive. Now that we've discovered, as part of our initial investigation and cataloguing, that the sound effects and music can be separated, the process of transferring the tapes has begun. But as part of our initial cataloguing of the tapes, we were able to ascertain what was on them and get copies of the parts that Pinky and Perky were not yelling over. Even these short sections are a window into an overlooked part of the AP film story.
You've got the script, have you?
Yes, indeed I have.
And have you read it?
I have. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, good. That's absolutely fine.
They also open a tiny window into what was happening when they were made. Brief moments of chat that show the human side of it all.
Are we getting those little endings on it? All right.
One tape in particular, the only one not to have been recorded over, captures the sounds of Supercar's first episode.
Supercar, bubble noise, take 3. Jets being fired underwater, I think.
Including Jerry Anderson himself, smashing up a lab.
Right, Mitch in Beaker's laboratory.
Where's Mitch?
Hey, you wouldn't by any chance be talking about that monkey, would you? Because if you are, he's okay too.
I sure am glad to hear that. Can I see him?
And during our cataloguing of the tapes, we found something that we hadn't expected. A remarkable passage of 2 minutes that captures Sylvia Anderson, or as she was then, Sylvia Tam, being directed by Jerry Anderson in her first ever voice recording performance.
Yeah, a little more relief rather than excitement than that first line.
Gee, I sure am glad to hear that. Can I see him? Once more?
The only surviving recorded moment of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson talking to each other, even if Sylvia is doing a voice for most of it. Sadly, the rest of the tape was reused by AP Films themselves to record further sounds, but the ghostly echo of the original recording can still be heard, which provides us with an additional challenge. In our next film on the subject, we'll be presenting in full our discoveries as part of a wider look at the use of sound effects in the Supermarionation films, including interviews with the people who made them. In the meantime, we leave you with the sound of Pinky and Perky being massacred.